School meeting at 7:02. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Today we are coming to you asking for approval to add a couple of new positions to that were unbudgeted but are grant funded. And so I did ask Assistant Superintendent O'Brien to write up a summary of what happened yesterday, so I'd like to share that.
Please.
Registration night was held last night, August 1st, at the Holiday Inn to enroll school-aged children who have been placed there with their families through McKinney-Vento. Calliope Pantazopoulos, principal of Kane School, was present along with Superintendent Mary Murphy and Assistant Superintendent Jody O'Brien. Stations were set up for families to rotate through the complete the entire registration process. There were 2 Marlborough Public Schools Spanish interpreters, 1 agency Creole interpreter, and 2 community volunteers who assisted with Creole and French interpretation. The district had the following staffing to assist at the stations: 5 staff completing online registrations, 3 staff completing EL screenings, 1 staff completing home language surveys, and additionally, Sheila Lucia from the Board of Health was present to review health records to let families know if their children were up to date with their immunizations and physicals. 25 students were enrolled in school out of the anticipated 30 school-aged children, 19 elementary students and 6 secondary students. The registration center will follow up with families who still need to register their children. The district now has a weekly check-in with the Elliott Group in order to provide ongoing communication of any changes and coordination of services. Christine Harrington, our Supervisor of Health Services, will be coordinating with Elliott Group to hold immunization clinics for children who needed updated vaccinations. The district would like to thank all of those who provided support at the registration event, including Daisy Reyes and her ARPAG staff, Michelle Blair in the EL department, and Sheila Lucia from the Board of Health. I just have to report, it was one of the most joyful nights that we have ever experienced. The children are so excited to come to school. Ms. Pantazopoulos ran around the room and showed them all pictures of Kane School. He's very excited. Bonded, brought presents. I know everyone's shocked, but it was the students counting the days they wanted to know if they could come to school today. So that is what we wanted to report out. Beyond that, I did share updated class lists that reflect the new enrollments. And I made a couple of adjustments to our projection because a couple of students that we were placing by age were in lower grades according to their families. So those should be the accurate elementary class sizes. We all know that Kane School is the only school in our district that has the ability to add an additional elementary classroom. They do have 2 district-wide programs as well. They have Pathways classrooms and they have the TLC program. So they may be out of space after this addition. But if we do not, we have always been concerned about their 3rd grade, but with additional students, they do now have, if we add a classroom to 3rd grade, they have the ability to increase and accept and easily place more students. But if we don't, we would be approaching 25 students in each of the 3rd grade classrooms. So we're asking for approval to post that position. And because we're anticipating some of these students, or many of them may need EL services, that will be determined after all the screening results are completed. that we would need an additional EL teacher at Kane School as well. Currently, and I had touched base with the EL department last week about this, Goodnow has 7 EL teachers. Jarrick has had 6.4. Richard has 4.4, and Kane only has 3. And each of those 3 teachers are servicing students across all grade levels, including they each are taking a group of new arrivals. So if we have new arrivals, we are going to need to have another teacher. And it will also give us the flexibility. Potentially, we could look at, if we needed to, if we have an enrollment bump someplace else, we potentially could be looking at splitting the position, but for now, we would focus on Kane School. So we are looking for those 2 positions. There also, we had talked about, we had been, I'm just going to put out the translator positions that we would also need. We have 2 open translator positions in the budget. One is a Portuguese translator and one is a Spanish translator. We would like to maintain those positions, and we have recently received grant funding that would fund up to approximately 2 more translators, and we'd like to focus on up to 2 Creole-speaking translators as well. Although, and we don't know if we're going to need to, but we want the flexibility, especially the flexibility if we have to have a couple of part-time positions to give us a little bit more flexibility. A number of our students that we met yesterday, I think everyone should know, I think we all need to not make assumptions on languages. We had many Portuguese-speaking families, we had many Spanish-speaking families, and some Creole-speaking families. Oh. So we're having students that are speaking a variety of languages. And so we used all of our translators last night. And there's a number of English-speaking students as well. Any questions?
Mrs. Matthews.
I fully support the additional teachers to bring class size down. I guess my only concern, looking at your averages at Jarrick and Richer, well, Jarrick at 4th and 5th, Richer at 5th, and Goodnow at 2nd. With those numbers at 25 or approaching 25, are we looking to put a pair in those rooms?
We have started to talk about that. We need to be fully staffed first. Potentially, yes.
Okay.
That is a request from the teachers as well, and what that would look like, and making sure that we're not differentiating and thinking that that some paras are just for special ed students and some are not, like what that would look like, to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all students. But teachers would like, as our class sizes rise, and we know that's going to be our reality moving forward because our building project is going to be a couple of years and we're out of space. They have asked at multiple meetings with me for additional support staff.
I guess I shouldn't have used the word para necessarily. I mean, it could be a co-teacher. It could be a second set of hands, really, as you said. Since we utilize the paras in a special education model, but however it can help a teacher who has a greater class size over.
Yes.
Sorry, building off of that, I guess a question I would have, which I know you've worked hard on trying to form some of the relationships with local colleges. Is it possible that we can up that relationship some for potentially like student teachers? Because they're going to be needing hours, I'm quite sure, and maybe it's a way that it helps to, as you had said, get some hands on deck, gives obviously some valuable experience to those students that would be in need, and definitely would give, help from a profession standpoint. So we've got a bunch of schools around. It would seem like it might be worthwhile, if you haven't already, to like push that a little bit more.
Mrs. Brown is in constant communication with higher education, trying to recruit, because as soon as we can get them into the door, they're potential future hires for us.
Right, exactly. And I'm really excited to hear that you had not only staff there, but some of the volunteers from the community to be able to help out.
Couldn't have done it without them.
Well, I'm appreciative, and I'm assuming it may be those folks that we had talked about.
it
but
was, yeah.
I not to name names because that's not necessary, but there were some members of our community that actually reached out to me that had read articles about folks coming into the community, and they have language in that realm. I'm not going to say directly Haitian Creole, but something that they felt could be supportive, and they wanted to offer up to assist, even though they do have full-time jobs. They wanted to see what they could do, and Mrs. Murphy was very open to that suggestion, and I'm grateful that they stepped up. And I think they were offering anything that they can do to also help and create networks. And I think that that's one of the things that any of us can do, is helping to create those opportunities for networks. So there are other communities, which we know there were pockets. And I know you just said, from a clarity standpoint, it's not just Haitian Creole. But that was a conversation I had outside with them to kind of work on. Did we have other relationships with folks in Cambridge, in Somerville, in Framingham, where there were pockets that we might be able to tap into?
And I do want to recognize that the mayor's office shared a list of people that had also called and volunteered, and Patty Brown reached out to every single person over the last week or so, and has made those connections, and to see what they were looking for to do, and is connecting them with multiple different people.
Thank you.
And hopefully trying to recruit some.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful, and I think it's something where it may take thinking out of the box, right? As you just said about sometimes maybe a part-time situation may be what we need to do, and that's not necessarily always how we satisfy, but I'm appreciative that we are working to think out of the box to find the right solutions in this situation. With that, I know we had mentioned on our last meeting potentially offering up some items to try and help and support some of the families there. I have seen many members of the community trying to gather items, and I'm sure that's kind of going in through the city side. But are there items that we might be able to help with? I know that I was starting to personally pull some things together, things that would be for younger elementary age, crayons and papers and things like that. Is that something that we could gather to provide to you all for when somebody is going over there without it being a burden? Like not stepping on toes, but.
So when we were there last night, I did see donations coming in. They do have a storage area dedicated for any donations that come in. We're focusing on, we have a number of organizations that have reached out to us about backpacks and having those. So we're trying to connect to that. One of the things that we have said is we're looking at this as step by step right now. So we have the information of the families and the children right now, and then we have 2 additional steps, looking at working with the Elliott Group about early childhood services for the 3 and 4-year-olds, because there are a number of 3 and 4-year-olds, and when I was talking to them yesterday, they said they were even willing to set up something and they would run it, but maybe that could be something if they needed some materials or something for that. So I will circle back with him on that. Okay. And then the next thing is that Kayla and our wraparound service providers, to make sure that she's connecting with them so they have some voice in what they need, and then that will focus what our next steps are.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So this 19 plus 6 is, and you know that there are a few other stragglers. this is like the first wave? I mean, what are you hearing about more
I
families?
don't think anyone knows the answer to that, and I think even the people that are supporting that, that they might have two different answers depending on who you're talking to. So we're just trying to build everything to be as flexible as possible. They didn't expect any other families before school opens at the Holiday Inn. That was last night. It might change today, so
And are there some families staying at the extended suites
there are
as well?
families that are at the extended day, yes. And then we realized, and there had been earlier, there may have been earlier families that were at the Holiday Inn as well that had been in different programs with us. So they will be placed and be on the same bus. Yeah.
The families that you met with, are they all currently choosing to stay here and not?
Every
if they were
family we saw
displaced,
last night
they're not
were, and
asking.
I think that is our question. We don't know if any of them were in, yes, and are choosing to.
enrolled elsewhere, so
So we have
utilizing
to-
the Canadian
Yeah,
Joe to go back
yeah.
and forth.
And so, Assistant Superintendent O'Brien and I were looking at the numbers for the fifth time again, right before this meeting, before she left, trying to, the 30 projected is pretty close with with a number of students that we're not sure what district they're going to. So we may have registered just about everyone, or pretty close to what we were expecting. Like, we did a really good job. Yeah. That was a success. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And just so that everyone is aware, the state is, and I know that I talked to Mr. LaFleur about the funding right at the beginning, saying we're going to be requesting some staff. He is not concerned at all. The state is projecting $18,000 per student above and beyond. So when you look at that, it depends on, you have to assume that maybe they will not all stay the whole year, but he's confident with that amount that it will be able to pay for the two teachers, the staff, and we may come forward again in the future looking for an additional wraparound service provider. That would be next on our list.
I assume we need to make a motion
We
just to approve
do.
the additional positions. So I will make a motion to approve the additional positions as requested by the superintendent.
Motion made and seconded to approve the request. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you very much.
Change meeting date. Is it yours? Yeah.
Do you want me to do it?
Sure.
Okay. There are 5 Tuesdays in August, and the fourth Tuesday is traditionally the first meeting of the school year, which is, I think, what we did. But there is a fifth one available, and we do believe that it conflicts with fewer vacation plans that week, so we are requesting an adjustment to move it to that meeting to the fifth Tuesday in August, which is
29th.
The 29th.
Motion to amend the calendar for meetings to the 29th of August.
Motion made and seconded to move the August meeting to the 29th. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Any,
I have one thing I just want to publicly state so that it's on the record. I have reviewed and signed both warrants. I did send it out in email, but I have taken care of it.
thank you. Anything else, Ms. Hennessy?
And I should just, since we're having this meeting, I should just say that we are going to have a policy subcommittee meeting coming up. I haven't posted it yet. That's on my list of things to get done tomorrow, but that's going to be on Monday, the 14th. So nothing too major. We have a few things that Superintendent Murphy asked me to add on, but just things that we're trying to keep on working on. That's it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
For doing that. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:23. Thank you very much.